Hi, I'm Paul Guppy, Vice President for the Washington Policy Center, and this is our regular update that we send out to our members, letting them know what activities we've been doing and what exciting events we have coming up. So with this one being in the depths of summer, you can see I'm a little casual because it's very hot in my house. Most Seattle houses don't have air conditioning, and that's the case with us here. And I thought that a casual approach would be the good way to go. And also the other change is that normally I would talk about the issues and studies that we're working on important bills in the legislature, but because it is summertime, there isn't much activity going on with that. But I thought it would be fun to tell you about some of our fast turnaround responses that we do in the media, and our staff does this kind of thing regularly. And I thought I would describe that with 3 examples that have just happened in the last few days, a week or so. So one example is that Liv Finna, our education expert, attended the meeting of the State Board of Education talking about testing and academic standards and learning loss. She attended the entire hearing, and it was online. And Superintendent of Public Instruction, Chris Reichdahl, the highest education official in the state, attended the hearing, and he spoke on it. And maybe inadvertently, he revealed that he thought that state testing was not useful for students. He even had a quote which said, "Testing means nothing," and that he told the state board that he was looking for ways within his own authority that he could end regular academic testing for Washington State students. This clearly was news. Liv reported that on our blog and distributed that to her network and to media. And sure enough, Superintendent Reichdahl found that he was on the spot. His staff contacted us right away in kind of damage control mode and we didn't like this. They called us, WPC's reporting is, quote, inaccurate and unethical, and calling for us to have a correction. Well, of course, I got together with Liv. We went back and looked at the actual quote. We posted the clip where Superintendent Reichdahl made these quotes, and we got back to the superintendent's office and said, guess what? We were right the first time. This is official, and we are not changing our initial reporting, and we're certainly not being unethical about it. And they backed off. So they issued a correction themselves where Reichdahl had to clarify that he is not in favor of getting rid of testing. He wants to change one kind of test for another sort of test. He didn't say that to the board. That was a follow-up. We reported that as well, but it's an example of where Liv was right on top of the latest developments in education. And when this challenge came up, we actually had an advantage because Liv had attended all 5 hours of the public hearing. She knew everything that happened at this hearing, including what Superintendent Reichdahl had said. So we were on top of it from the beginning, and that's why we turned out to be right. Another good example is responses that Todd Myers has had regarding data that shows that the governor's cap and trade bill that he signed last year and the low carbon fuel standards, another green energy type mandate that he signed, will add 46 cents to the cost of a gallon of gas by next year, and that the price will only go up from there. The governor also signed legislation that ends the sale of gasoline powered cars in Washington State in 2030. Most of the public is not aware of this. That's why Todd reported it. The governor was asked about this by Como TV News, and he pushed back saying that he didn't think that was the case. He doesn't think that gas prices are going to go up. And he certainly doesn't think that his policies are going to be responsible for that. Well, if Todd was quoted in the same news piece, and Todd did what Washington Policy Center always does, just cited the data and the source that shows that this analysis, these new policies are going to add to the cost of gas. It's happening already. It's something that people are seeing in their daily lives right now, and these prices will certainly go up in 2023 and 2024 as the governor's cap and trade system kicks in. So we were right, present with the media, with the resources and the data to show that the governor is wrong about this, that his green energy mandates that he's imposing on the state come with a very high cost, especially at a time of rising inflation. That is becoming unpopular. And so not surprisingly, the governor is trying to back away from that and kind of change his messaging. Another example of where Todd was right on top of things is that Governor Inslee and Senator Patty Murray put out a report, once again, second or third time they've done this, to say that the 4 federal dams on the Snake River, the lower Snake River, should be torn down. Environmentalists, mostly based in Seattle, have been trying to destroy these dams for decades and have had no progress. They argue that it's needed to save salmon species and that it will not have a major impact on energy production in the state. Again, Todd was quick with his response, pointing out that even the source documents that was used in the study itself show that the cost benefit of analysis of taking down the dams is not going to be beneficial. It will destroy about 10% of our clean energy production. Fish returns show that the species that Chinook salmon are returning to the river, that they are using the ladders and ways to get around the dams. And again, Todd is citing federal data the entire time. So again, another example of where a quick response using the facts changes the direction of the story. And then again, we noticed that Senator Murray and Governor Inslee kind of changed the topic. So they sort of dropped that media push and have moved on to other things. And then the last example I'll give a quick response is Jason Mercier, our budget expert, back in February, noticed that Sound Transit Agency was advertising for a new CEO. So this is a nationwide search. Jason was intrigued by the fact that the staff of Sound Transit, the board, had put no income tax in Washington state as one of the primary benefits for recruiting a new CEO. Jason reported this online on our blog and distributed it to media. Next thing you know, that talking point has been removed from this CEO advertisement from Sound Transit. And Jason wondered, why did that happen? So he put out a Freedom of Information Act request. They put him off. It just shows that persistence paid off, because over a couple of months, Jason got the email thread that shows the internal discussion where Sound Transit is saying, this is embarrassing for us. The governor's office does not want us to talk about no income tax as being a benefit for recruiting high-level CEOs to Washington state. And so they removed that talking point. And Jason was able to show that. He just posted all of that online a few days ago. So those are all examples of revealing the hypocrisy of state agencies that on the one hand, want to say it's great that we have no income tax, that's good for our economy. And then on the other hand, political pressure gets them internally to pull that down. And Jason was able to show that. So I thought that would be interesting to just give you a few examples of this happens very routinely with us. Our professional staff is tracking these issues every day. And when they see these problems pop up or an opportunity to give a fresh message based on facts, they get engaged with the media. And we have our own network as well. We find that the media often responds to us because they know that we have a pretty wide audience across the state. We have thousands of members in addition to our own networks and contacts. And the media realizes that we are able to get our message out without having to go through their traditional filter. So those are some successes. And then regarding events, it's supposedly a slow summer, but we are actually very busy. So we've had great events with our new president, Mike Gallagher, in Gig Harbor, a lunch event. And then Mike just attended one a few days ago in Bellingham. And for our supporters in those areas, we appreciate you coming to those events. Looking ahead, in early August, Mike is doing another event in the Yakima area. And he's just traveling around meeting our top supporters, our Pillar Society members, and getting introduced to them. And in addition to that, our Young Professionals program has been very active. They're planning a summer social event coming up in Seattle. This coming weekend, we are doing an event in the Spokane area with a young author who immigrated to this country and talked about the benefits of opportunity and free market economics compared to the African country that he came from. So that's Kofi Duhaji. If you get a chance to look at his book, it's really interesting. He will be speaking to our Young Professionals group, as I mentioned, in the Spokane area. And then the Young Professionals also did a popular event that we do every summer, which is the Young Professionals Hike. And that's where Marissa, who's the director, and Todd Myers take a group of our young professionals on an outdoor trip. But also Todd talks about smart environmental policy and the new book that he has coming out about how innovation and technology will let the free market and average people protect the environment and advance environmental protection in that way, rather than top-down government mandates. So both through online events, publications, and even traditional media, we're continuing to get the message out about the issues that we cover, and mainly provide an optimistic view that there are positive things, that people making smart decisions in their lives, using the power of the free market, trying to get out from under government taxes and regulations, and can really improve lives for people and communities all across our state. So there's an update, and I will be back next time with more information. Thanks.